Hello everybody and welcome to a new video on my channel. The title of this video is When Britain Kidnapped an Ethiopian Prince. If you are new to the channel, hello there, and be sure to stay and check my other videos. I usually upload on Sundays and I talk about Black British history, that is any history about Black and other non-whites in the UK and the British Empire. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and keep notified. Link to my PayPal is in the description. This is the heartbreaking story of Prince Alemayehu, the son of Emperor Tewodros II and Empress Tiruwork Wube of Ethiopia. He was kidnapped by a British man named Tristam Speedy, who was a captain after Tewodros committed suicide at the end of a British expedition to release several missionaries and representatives of the British government. Tristam and his cronies looted the house that Prince Alemayehu lived in, and Alemayehu was taken to Britain, where he lived with Speedy and his wife in the Isle of Wight. He was introduced to Queen Victoria at her home. Queen Victoria took a great interest in his life and education, and he was sent to India to be educated there. However, the government decided that he should be educated in England. He was educated in a few schools and then joined the Royal Military College, but was not happy there. The following year, he went to live in Leeds and stayed with his old tutor, Cyril Ransome, but within a week, he contracted pleurisy, an inflammation of lungs, and died 6 weeks later when he was just 18 years old. Alemayehu Simeon Tewodros was born on April 23, 1861, in Magdala, in the Ethiopian Empire. Magdala is now called Amba Mariam, a village in central Ethiopia. Alemayehu was just a Tewodros, who was a commander of the main army, and he was the direct heir to the throne, having been the son of the ruling emperor and empress of the empire. In order to know why there were several British missionaries and representatives locked up in Ethiopia, we need to take a look at Emperor Tewodros' career. He was baptized as Kasa Hailu in 1818, not to be confused with Ras Kasa Hailu. His father died when he was still a child, and he was raised by his poverty-stricken mother, whose only income was generated by selling kosso, which was a type 1 relief in Ethiopian medicine, although there is no evidence to suggest this. Even though Tewodros II was born into nobility, his mother became poor because his parents divorced, and after his father died, Kasa's paternal relatives split the entire inheritance among themselves, leaving Kasa and his mother with nothing. This is according to popular legend. Later on, Kasa's uncle, Tewodros Kimfu, took him to the monastery in Mabere Selassie to be educated by the monks in it. When he was older, he became a shifter or outlaw, as he would become a rebellious leader. The catalyst for this was that there was a massacre at the monastery committed by a Tewodros Maru, who had aspired to be king. Kasa managed to escape the massacre and went back to his hometown, joining a group of bandits and learning military tactics. According to Ethiopian historian Tekla Sadiq Makuria, Kasa became a rebel leader, but shortly left to join the house of Tewodros Goshu and Ras Ali to learn royal etiquette, military combat and work ethic. Kasa gained a lot of supporters by battling other provincial warlords and managed to control Dembia and restore his father's personal fief in Kwara. A fief is a piece of land that was granted to a vassal for services and provided to their land. What also attracted followers was his kind treatment of the inhabitants of the areas he controlled in. For example, according to Swedish historian Sven Rubensson, who primarily focused on Ethiopian history, Kasa shared out captured grain and money to the peasants in Kwara and told them to buy hoes and plant. His heroism and fame earned him the honorary title of Lij, and Ras Ali's mother, Menon, decided that her daughter, Waizero Terabach, should be married to him. Kasa joined the holy matrimony in 1847 in Gondar, which Ras Ali was in control of. However, the true intentions of the marriage was to subjugate Kasa to make him completely loyal to Menon and Ras Ali. But Kasa had other plans, which was to unite and rule the whole of Ethiopia. What is important to note is that when Kasa was born, Ethiopia was at a huge civil war where warlords, regional princes, and feudal lords fought each other for power and control, and Ethiopia as a result was divided in multiple small kingdoms. They divided the empire into personal fiefs and continued to fight each other. Even the local prince in the region of Shewa, a branch of the imperial dynasty, went as far as assuming himself the title of king. This period between 1769 and 1855 is called Era of Princes and Wealthy Feudal Lords. Zemene Mesafint. Back to Menen's and Ras Ali's intentions. They were trying to hide the humble beginnings of Kasa because of their aristocratic nature. The aristocracy of Gondar also ridiculed him because he was the underdog of the marriage. This made Kasa return back to his rebel life. His wife Tewodros supported him because she was also made fun of for marrying a man with low stature. Ras Ali was furious when he found out the couple became rebels and ordered a massive war campaign against Kasa. One of Ras Ali's lieutenants, Tejusmach Wadi Irad, who was under Ali's orders to undertake this, assured Empress Menen that he will capture the son of Kososela alive and bring him to justice. In a battle in Metro, the 300-strong force of Kasa defeated Tejusmach Wadi Irad's troops, which numbered thousands of troops. Wadi Irad was wounded himself and captured. At the victory celebration, while Kasa's forces drank wine and beer, Wadi Irad was forced to drink Koso repeatedly. But the conflict between Kasa versus Menen and Ras Ali did not stop there. After their first defeat, Menen led a 20,000-strong army against Kasa, and this battle took place in the then province of Dembia. Kasa was close to being defeated until Menen got wounded by a strike from Kasa's forces. The Empress fell from her horse to the ground, was captured and brought before Kasa. However, unlike Wadi Irad, she was treated with respect and dignity. When Ras Ali heard the news, he started to campaign against Kasa, but changed his mind and had a truce with him. The deal was that Kasa governed Dembia and Kwara in exchange for Menen's freedom. Kasa agreed and Menen was set free. He also earned the title of Tejusmach, but Ras Ali had other plans. Refusing to back off, he secretly allied with another Tejusmach, Goshu, the governor of Gojam, and their joint forces came to Dembia. Kasa decided to fight them separately and had to strategize on how to win against them. So he gave the impression to his enemies that he would give up Dembia, in which he did. Kasa's forces retreated and he led them to his birthplace of Kwara. As soon as this happened, Goshu took over Dembia and also became its governor. This was exactly what Kasa wanted, as he then directed his forces towards Dembia and confronted Goshu's forces in Gur Amba in November 27, 1852. Although Goshu's forces had a military advantage, Goshu, who was fighting at the forefront, was killed as he was hit by a bullet. He fell down his horse and immediately died. Nevertheless, this did not stop Ras Ali from taking revenge. Subsequently, he allied himself with the forces of 4 other Tejusmach, but those forces were defeated too. The final battle from those forces was the Battle of Deraske. On February 9, 1855, Kasa's forces and Wube Haile Mariam, Tejusmach of Tigray, fought. Kasa won, and 2 days later he was crowned Tewodros II of Ethiopia. 3 years later, Tewodros Ali, his wife, unfortunately died, and he later remarried with the daughter of Wube Haile Mariam, Tiruwork Wube. In 1861, they had a son, Alemayehu. Tewodros is responsible for uniting Ethiopia together. However, this was not without forcible incorporation under the centralized political administration. Because of this, there were a lot of revolts against him. At the same time, the Ethiopian empire was threatened by the expansion of Islam, where Egypt repeatedly invaded Ethiopia from the Red Sea and from Sudan, while Muslim Oromos expanded their forces in central Ethiopia, quite literally the only part that was not in revolt against him. As a result, Tewodros wrote a letter to Queen Victoria as a fellow Christian monarch, asking for assistance. He also asked the British consul in Ethiopia, Captain Charles Duncan Cameron, to carry a letter to Victoria, requesting for skilled workers to teach his forces on how to produce firearms and other related skills. Cameron travelled to the coast with the letter, but when he informed the Foreign Office about it, he was told to send the letter to London rather than carry it himself, because he was due to go to Sudan to make inquiries about the slave trade over there. After this happened, he returned to Ethiopia. Upon finding out that Cameron did not take the letter to London and travelled through enemy territories, Tewodros was furious about it. Cameron tried to calm him down by saying the letter would arrive shortly. However, the Foreign Office did not inform Queen Victoria of the letter. Britain simply ignored the letter because the interests of the country were completely different to that of Ethiopia's. Britain was dependable on Egyptian and Sudanese cotton after the results of the American Civil War, in which they lost their dependency on American South cotton. 2 years passed and Tewodros II did not receive a response, so he decided to imprison not only Cameron, but all British subjects in Ethiopia. This prompted the British to send a letter in response to Tewodros' request of aid. A Syrian-born British subject, Cyril Ransome, was sent on the mission to deliver the response that was written by Queen Victoria. At first, the Emperor treated Ransome warmly, allegedly sending him many gifts. Soon or later, all British subjects were set to be at liberty, and a letter of apology was drawn up by him addressed to Her Majesty, as written by Ransome himself in a memoir. He also said that Tewodros wrote unreservedly of my speedy departure out of the country, taking the liberated captives with me, and my firm conviction is, notwithstanding what after experience taught me of the fickleness of his character, that Theodore, which is Tewodros' name anglicized, fully intended at the time to act up to his promises. However, Tewodros' attitude changed and he re-imprisoned not only the previous captives, but also Ransome, because he was upset that Britain did not meet his requests of skilled workers. This led to Britain's 1868 expedition to Abyssinia, what Ethiopia was also called at the time. As said earlier, this was a rescue mission, and it was launched by British Armed Forces. This was one of the British Army's most expensive campaigns, but was successfully carried out. Led by General Sir Robert Napier, the 13,000 British and Indian soldiers travelled to Ethiopia and marched towards Magdala, which was the capital of the empire. The expedition was finalised with the Battle of Magdala on April 10, 1868. The battle lasted 90 minutes, and the British Army and Indian subjects were at an advantage since they were well equipped. There were only a handful of deaths on the British side, but over 500 Ethiopians were killed and thousands were wounded. As a result, Tewodros released all his European hostages over the next 2 days and refused to surrender. On April 13th, British forces attacked his fortress, eventually setting the entrance on fire. Before Tewodros could be captured, he committed suicide with a pistol that had been gifted by Queen Victoria. His son Alemayehu was only 7 years old. Before the fortress was completely destroyed, Captain Tristam Speedy took him to Britain, while the fortress and the church in it was being ransacked by soldiers and the ex-hostages. Ethiopian scholar Manza Mengiste writes that the little prince was kidnapped by Britain. Tiruwork Wube, his mother, died on May 16, 1868, just a month after the expedition. Under British custody, she actually initially agreed with Napier for her son to go to England, but then said she would accompany her. At the time, she was suffering from an illness, but her husband's death took a serious toll on her health. Napier also ensured that her and Tewodros' family would be treated appropriately. However, when she learned that her male relatives had said in response to Napier's request, "Do what you want with her," she was shocked, and she was also harassed by Speedy by repeatedly trying to get the Empress to appoint him as guardian of Alemayehu. She was fed up, eventually giving in order to stop Speedy from harassing her. Her health declined quickly, and she later died as she tried to reach the coast of where the expedition was leaving with her son. This is a photo of Prince Alemayehu when he was captured. He remained unhappy for the rest of his life. Although he was taken good care and received education, he was far removed from the Ethiopian roots he was born into. Speedy took him to his house in freshwater Isle of Wight, where he taught him English. Shortly afterwards, on July 16, 1868, Alemayehu met Queen Victoria in Osborne House, her residence, also on the Isle of Wight. In her diary, Queen Victoria wrote, "Heard that the Emperor Tewodros' poor little boy, whom we had been expecting yesterday, had arrived. Little Alemayehu is a very pretty, slight, graceful boy of 7 with beautiful eyes and a nice nose and mouth. He can say 1 or 2 words in English. Captain Speedy, who has brought him, says the poor boy will never leave him for a moment and always sleeps near him. They are an extraordinary contrast, Captain Speedy being 6'6" and having red hair." Poor Alemayehu was so nervous and would cling on to Speedy, and that even Speedy had to sleep in the same bed as him to calm him down. On July 25, 1868, just a week after Alemayehu and Victoria met, Queen Victoria noted in her diary, "Just after luncheon, saw the little Alemayehu in his picturesque Abyssinian dress, gave the dear little boy a watch and chain." Queen Victoria took a great interest in him and was pleased to see him frequently. However, she pointed out that it was the government's responsibility to decide where he should be educated. Captain Speedy was serving the Indian Army, and on October 10th of the same year, he wrote to the Under Secretary for India, "The boy is in very good health, which may be owing to the enjoyment of sea air, as well as of sea bathing. I have also occupied myself in teaching him to swim, he having lost his repugnance to salt water. His disposition is excellent, and his former shyness is replaced by a most winning manner. He is remarkably intelligent for his age and makes quick progress in English." Approximately a year later, Alemayehu spent some time in India with Speedy and his wife, because Speedy was stationed in the country. However, the Liberal government in the UK decided he should be educated in England and was sent to Lockers Park School, a private preparatory school, which at the time was new. He was then educated under the care of Thomas Jex Blake, a priest and head teacher of Cheltenham College, an exclusive private school. In 1875, when he was 14, he moved to Rugby School, one of the oldest independent schools in Britain, and also where rugby the sport was founded. One of his tutors was Cyril Ransome, the future father of Arthur Ransome, who would become a famous children's author. 3 years later, Prince Alemayehu joined the Royal Military College in Berkshire, but was not happy there. The following year, in 1879, he went to Far Headingley in Leeds, West Yorkshire, to stay with his old tutor, Cyril Ransome. Within a week, he contracted pleurisy, which is inflammation in the lungs, where the symptom is a sharp chest pain. Unfortunately, 6 weeks later, on November 21st, 1879, he died when he was just 18 years old. In reaction to his death, Victoria wrote, "Very grieved and shocked to hear by telegram that good Alemayehu had passed away this morning. It is too sad. All alone in a strange country without a single person or relative belonging to him." As you can see in his photos, he looked very unhappy, very sad. He was buried in the catacombs of St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle. In 2007, the Ethiopian government sent Elizabeth II a formal request to give back his remains to Ethiopia. According to a BBC article written on June 3, 2007, this was part of Ethiopia's campaign to get back historical treasures that had been looted over the last 2 centuries. In April 2005, Ethiopia had successfully recovered an obelisk that was once in Axum, but was stolen by Mussolini's army to Rome. Although initially the royal household was said to be considering Ethiopia's request, they never abided and actually denied the request in 2023. In a statement, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson said that removing his remains from the catacombs would not be possible without disturbing the resting place of a substantial number of others in the vicinity. However, in September of 2023, just a few months after, a lock of Alemayehu's hair along with other looted artifacts were returned to Ethiopia. A relative, Faisal Minas, also expressed hope that his body will be returned, but in my opinion, it's not very likely that this will happen. We can only hope one day that the prince's remains, along with many other remains and looted artifacts, get returned to their rightful owners. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it.